Does your sewing machine look like this? And are you wondering how to insert a bobbin into it? Good, then this is the video for you. If your machine looks like this, you have what's called a front load bobbin. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to thread this correctly. And it's really important because if you don't thread it correctly, your tension's going to be off and then your stitches are going to look terrible and you're not going to be able to sew anything. So let's make sure that you get this done the right way. Before we jump into inserting this bobbin, I'd love to ask you, what has inspired you to start sewing? Let me know down in the comments because I really am interested in what gets people excited to learn how to sew. And if by chance your goal is to learn how to sew clothing, then while you're down there, be sure to subscribe because all of my videos are designed to help you start sewing your own clothes from home quickly while having fun. And then let's jump into inserting this bobbin. So the first thing we need to do is remove the storage compartment from the front of the machine. And then we're going to grab this side of the machine and just pull forward. And you'll see it's a little hidden door. And there, all of that silver stuff, that's the bobbin housing. That's where we're going to find our bobbin. So you'll see these two lines here. They are the sides of a little flap. So on this side, if I put my finger here, I can pull the flap up. What we're going to want to do is actually grab this flap and pull towards us, away from the sewing machine. And this whole little section is going to come out. Perfect! Now in this little silver chunk, we're going to find the bobbin. There it is, hiding in there. And you can just pop it out like that, okay? So now we need to take our fully wound bobbin. And if you haven't wound a bobbin, if you're not sure how, check the link in the description. I have a whole video on how to wind a perfect bobbin just like this. We're going to take our bobbin and make sure the thread is coming off in a counterclockwise position and then push it into the silver chunk that we took out. Okay? Everything looks good. Now you see this little cutout right above my thumb? That is where we're going to push the thread so that it goes under this little metal flap that I'm showing you here. Okay? So we're going to go up into that cutout and then pull along this metal flap so we get it all the way up here to the arm. But you see it's kind of stuck on the bottom edge of that opening. You're going to want to keep pulling up on the thread until it gets between those two arms. So if I'm pulling, there, it popped into place. And now you can see it's between the flap and the actual metal chunk. This is exactly what we want because this metal flap is actually how you set the tension for your bobbin using this little screw here. So you can just tighten or loosen that to get the perfect tension on your bobbin. Now to check your tension, you're going to dangle your bobbin, like hold your thread and dangle it like this, and you're just going to like kind of throw the bobbin down gently. And the bobbin should fall like 1 inch to 3 inches is like a good range for your tension. Now, if you kind of jerk your bobbin up and down like this and it falls to the floor and rolls away from you, then your tension is way too loose and you need to tighten that little screw I showed you, okay? But if you do this little jerking motion and your bobbin does not move at all, then your tension is too tight, okay? And then you can loosen this a little bit. So just keep playing with this until you're doing this little jerking motion and the bobbin falls 1 inch to 3 inches. Once you've got that, then your tension is perfect and we can actually insert this little metal chunk back into the sewing machine. Okay, did you get the tension set correctly on your bobbin? I hope so. But before we jump into how to insert it back into your machine, I want to ask you, what's your biggest question when it comes to sewing right now? let me know in the comments so that way I can make a future video answering your specific question. Okay? So go down there, let me know what your question is, and then let's see how to insert this bobbin. Remember that little hole I showed you and the post on the sewing machine? We're just going to put this metal arm facing straight up and then line those up and push this little metal chunk back into the machine. Now you can see here it wants to rotate all the way around. And that's how we know it's not in position yet. It's not correctly in. So what we want to do is line up that arm with that little notch that you can see on the metal ring. And once you have it lined up, push, and you'll see how it just went in the machine a little bit further. And now it doesn't rotate. It's stuck in that little notch at the top. That's perfect. That's how you know that this is in the right position, when it's not rotating all over the place, but stuck in that up position. Now, the last thing we need to do is take our top thread. Hopefully the top thread is already threaded. If it's not, you need to do that first. And if you don't know how, check the link in the description. I have a how-to video on how to thread the needle the best way. So check that out. We're just going to hold the top thread to the side of our machine and just gently hold it there. And then we're going to move our needle down using the hand wheel and back up. And as I go up, you see that white thread loop around this metal chunk we just put back in? If you tug on the top thread, it will actually pull that bobbin thread up to the top, just like that. Okay? So then you're just going to use a pin or a seam ripper, whatever you, little enough, to go in there, grab that loop, and pull the bobbin thread out. And now, all we need to do is close this little door, put the housing, the storage back on the front of the machine, pull those threads to the back, and you're ready to start sewing. Now that you've inserted your bobbin, your sewing machine is ready. You can actually start sewing. But if you're really new to sewing, you might find that once you throw some fabric under that machine, some things aren't quite right, or there's still some things that you could learn. So to make life easy for you, I've put together a 5-step guide to walk you through everything you need to know to really start sewing and getting perfect, beautiful stitches. So really just answering those other questions you might have now that you've threaded your machine. So inside of the 5-step guide, I've included things like some principles to help you learn how to sew straight. That's a big question people always have. And a beginner's guide to tension. Because once your fabric's in there, you're gonna want to make sure those stitches look really nice. So if you'd like access to that 5-step guide, just check the link in the description and I will send it right to you in your inbox. Whether you grab the guide or not, I really just hope that you can start sewing and enjoying your sewing machine. So if you're ready to jump into a project, here are 2 really fun beginner projects that you can get sewing today. So happy sewing, and I'll see you in the next video.